Hey everyone, I'm Charlie and I'm joined today by my absolute favorites. It is the Nam-based genre-bending band Cry Club. How are we doing today?
Good.
Yahoo! We're
Good.
awake. We
Yeah, I'm
are
awake.
awake.
I'm
We're so
awake.
awake.
We're thriving, perhaps, but we're definitely awake.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
We're
I
I feel like we're both like, okay.
I woke up, I tried
yeah,
to have a shower, and there was no hot water.
My
So
bad.
I'm like,
oh no.
but
Yeah.
It's also the fact that it's almost midday and we're all absolutely exhausted.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, election day.
yeah.
An exhausting time to be
It's crazy.
alive.
Crazy day. I'm staying inside. I'm staying away from it all right now. I don't need
Totally.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to jump in and chat about your latest single, For Your Health. It has not come out at a better time. I have had it on repeat every single day since release. Can you talk us through the themes of this song and what it means to you?
Do you want to
It's
jump in?
yeah, I had this like one little phrase going around in my head for a long time. Which is just the like it's for your health hook. It was just the phrase of it kept popping up in my head, and like I would drive around with like no music or anything on in my car, like a psycho, and it would just like percolate. And then Jono had this um, instrumental like demo, and I'm like, this could be it.
It's the one.
It's the one. But definitely like with just that phrase, it wasn't quite like a fleshed out thing. It was just like I liked the idea of that. And very very quickly, it was like there's so much that like there's a lot of our friends who we've known for years who make music who are getting to this point at the moment where they're not seeing like the same, I guess, goals that they wanted to achieve, like being achieved or as quickly as they wanted them to, or it felt within reach and now it feels so far away. And a lot of people like chronically burnt out, like ourselves too, but you feel like you can't stop because you you will lose all your momentum. And that's like the most important thing is like keeping that momentum. You know, you can't rest. You have to be like posting all the time. You have to be online everywhere all the time. You have to be available to people all the time. If you want like even the smallest chance of any kind of success, like whatever that means, you know. So yeah, it's like you're constantly at the mercy of a machine that doesn't care about you, but everyone tells you you have to care about it. And like the people who are telling you, like, you have to keep going, you know, um, yeah, it's like there's this thing of this perceived idea, I guess, of it'll be good, it'll all work out. You just can't stop. You can't stop now.
Yeah.
You can't stop later. You'll stop at some random point in the future, but you never know. Like it could be all over. It's such a threat, you know. We had a lyric in another song in High Voltage Anxiety about the like sword of Damocles, and it really feels like that. It's like you're looking up, and it's like, like I don't. If I stop, like that's gonna come down on me, and it's frustrating. Like, and then you can't be critical of anything you have done or have received because people are like, oh, you're so ungrateful. I find especially in Australia when musicians and artists try to talk about how difficult it is to be artists, especially here and in this climate and post-COVID, people, you know, if it's a Triple J article that's like, here's how artists are suffering. Like it could be like some artist lost a leg and all the comments will be like, fucking okay in your palace. And
In
there's
their
like
share
such
house.
there's such a difference between like the reality of it and what people think is happening. And that also hurts. It's from all angles.
Even with like gigantic, huge artists like Chappell Rowan had that amazing rise last year, and when she was like, "Hey, maybe don't be a creep to me in public spaces, everyone's like, sorry, that was the thing that you exchanged for your fame? And she was like, when did I sign the contract that said, I get people to listen to my music, they get to be creeps to me? Like, when did that exchange take place?
And people being mad at Chapel as well for, we are ride or die. Like, we had Chapel defenders.
Yeah.
She could do anything. I'm like, yep. She's right.
That's fair.
Like, taking a break for her mental health. And everyone being like, but I paid for those tickets. It's like, oh, fucking sorry.
Yeah.
You got, like, Ethel Cain, like, collapsing on stage. You have massive, you got Childish Gambino, like, show cancelled for health reasons, non-specific, which I'm, like, always, I'm a bit of a conspiracy theorist in this regard. I'm certain whenever it's just health reasons, it's COVID. And they don't want to say it because of insurance reasons.
But that's a huge thing as well. You've got these massive artists that, depending on the contract they might have with a certain promoter or whatever it might be, that they are like contractually obligated to go ahead with the show unless it reaches certain circumstances. So there's going to be the public message. This is the classic divide as well. That like only the people who were in the moment know what happened.
Yeah.
Every time someone speculates about something that happened with a show, with a band, or anything, it's a guess. It's always a guess. Even if it's a public statement, it's a guess. You know? Like, the public statement is the clean version for everyone to see.
Yeah.
For all we know, XYZ things happened, and anything, like, we just don't know what happened in any of these circumstances. So it's like, when you've got an entire, like, industry and machine and things built on speculating about what happened with certain situations, it's like, look, we'll never know.
Yeah.
Like, because the reality is, okay, this person was like, XYZ thing happened. And it's like, well, no, actually, like, XYZ thing happened. And it started at A. Yes. And we got down to XYZ because of the 23 other things that happened on the way.
This is a very heated topic for us.
But
that's so valid.
Where it's just this constant thing where it's like, I think there's just this idea, and like, the reality is that everyone who is in the position to like fucking Sigma grind set their way through a music career, like, everyone who is doing that because they have the position of power to do it, whether or not that's like financial or social or whatever. Like, the classic one is the kids whose parents pay for something to happen, right? Like, the musicians whose family income supports things in some capacity. I had some friends that were like auditioning to be in someone's live band, and this person, who I don't think is doing anything now, like, her parents were essentially trying to buy her a music career, and they hired out this big fancy expensive studio and got all of the best session musicians and paid them each their day rate just to go in and audition for this person's live band and all this sort of stuff. And that family would have spent like 10-20 grand on just that single day to put together a band for their daughter, who didn't end up wanting to pursue a music career. You just put that 10 to 20 grand in the hands of people who are hungry and really want to do stuff, they're gonna like get every cent out of that. Yeah. So it's like, the classic one is like, the people who are able to combine those kind of opportunities, the financial or social or whatever it might be, into a hard work ethic, they're able to really like make stuff with that. And that's awesome when that takes place, because really great music comes out of those circumstances. And hell yeah for them. But like, it's like this kind of impossible thing to be chasing, is like, you have to have a perfectly fine everything to be able to kind of do this sort of stuff. Where it's like, say with this song, I think I've been like, oh god, there's so many things I need to sort out with the digital marketing and all that sort of stuff. And it's like, well, we just moved house. You know what? I want to deal with that later. I'm actually going to like take on the message of the song and go, you know what? Instead of like burning myself into the ground on this, I am going to take exactly one chill pill and deal with it when I have the time. You know, as opposed to going like, everything has to happen now. Everything's got to be perfect. And if things aren't perfect, then it's your fault if it doesn't work. And it's like, it's just not how this works. I had this constant thing. Sorry, you've got me rolling.
No, keep
like,
going.
go off, queen.
There was this situation for us, which in lockdown, we were in a position where we were going to put out our record. Our first record was going to come out. It was scheduled to be the middle of the year in 2020. When we were coming out of 2019, we were going to be like middle of the 2020. We're going to land it because that's when we're going to do Splendor and we're going to do all of these things. It's going to land perfectly. How good. And then COVID landed in Australia. We went into lockdowns. And then we essentially had to buy more time for the album to come out, right? So we had enough singles planned so we could land in the start of June and be sweet. The album being pushed to November meant that we had essentially 6 months, or like 5 months to cover, to keep the energy high on. So then an album track was turned into a single. So Nine of Swords was never going to be a single. Right?
That's one of my favorites off the whole album. It's a good thing that was a single, because that was a major, like, I don't know if that was for everyone, but that was a major point for the album, was that song.
I would say that's become part of the Cry Club canon in a major way.
Like, I always thought it would be, there's a few songs we think we can't, like, get rid of out of the set. But if I'm looking at it, I always thought it would be DFTM had to stay. But I think, like, if I'm looking at, like, DFTM or Nine of Swords,
It's almost Nine of Swords
I would
now.
cut DFTM.
Yeah, don't ask me. I'll pay you guys to keep playing. Just every single song you've ever done, just do it.
Yeah.
But we were in this situation where Nine of Swords came out of circumstance was the thing that happened with making that song a single. And even the week it was coming out, like, it was scheduled to be out on Friday, right? And then on Tuesday, we get a message from someone on the back end of things who's like, are we sure about that song? Like, we don't know if that song's going to do the things you want it to do.
We have a week. We can't change it now.
It's already...
It's in motion. Oh.
Like, it's already...
It's been uploaded to Spotify.
It's there already, you know? And we were just in a position where we're like, well, it's already... it's too late.
Yeah.
It's literally too late to backroll any of this, so we're just going ahead with it.
We made a video.
We made a video in our garage in lockdown. We did everything we could. And then that has become one of our, like, the songs that connects to our audiences the most. And, you know, in a situation that was built out of an unfortunate circumstance, we now have this thing that almost feels like a gift for us.
Yeah.
That people have connected with this song so much. Okay, cool. We didn't have a hand in that at all. That was our audience that decided that, you know? So it's this thing where it's like, now, you know, do we, like, grind ourselves into the dirt while moving house, while doing all of this sort of stuff to promote this one song, and then get to the other side of it and go like, wow, I never want to do any of that ever again?
Yeah.
Or do we just go like, you know what? We're going to do everything we can within reason, and then just put the big within reason.
Keep it sustainable.
Because, like, God, I'm fucking going. There was a clip of Justin Vernon from Bon Iver talking about how he had this experience, which was he was in a band and they were, like, gunning for it and applying every piece of effort they possibly could into this thing, and it never went anywhere. And then with the Bon Iver project, that was him just going like, look, I want to take my foot off the accelerator. And that's where that first Bon Iver record comes from, right? You know, and that's the success of someone going like, you know what, okay, foot off the accelerator, let it take the time it needs, we're going to let it be whatever the fuck this is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's such the tricky line where it's like, you can dedicate your whole life to something and nothing happens, or it can just, like, as you said, you didn't intend for Nine of Swords to be a single and now it's one of your biggest songs. Like if I think I'm showing Cry Club to someone, Nine of Swords is one of the first songs I will show. And to hear that, like, that wasn't even something y'all had ever thought of is so crazy.
It was like, sorry.
I was just going to say, picking singles is horrible.
Yeah.
Oh.
We are like the kind of the worst people to decide what a single is, I think. Like, because we've been there for every single step of the song. Some songs, I think, have baggage attached to them that you don't hear as someone who's listening to the album. Like, Obvious, I remember just not liking it because I had such a difficult time when we were writing it. I was like, I don't know what the bridge should be. And John was like, it just has to be it. We just have to write it. And I was like,
it was the verse. You were so torn up about the verse.
I was like, this is garbage.
And I was like, look, we've got like a million different versions of it. Between those different versions,
You have to pick one.
Let's just sort through that. So my memory of Obvious, the brightest, sugariest song we ever wrote, that is the song that I just have this distinct memory of Heather in my old apartment, just sitting on the chair, just being like, and like to me, I just go like, oh, it's funny that it was that got us there.
Yeah,
but
and
like
somehow from the last album, like
Born of a
we
Joke.
were like, we can't release this.
Yeah.
This is too stupid. We'll be out, we'll cast out. Everyone will be like, are you serious? And then people loved it.
I was gonna say, all of these are some of my favorites. So this is like changing my perspective.
Releasing our least favorite songs.
go through the archive.
They're not my least favorites. They're just
The ones that you have a challenging relationship to internally, I think, is the challenging one, where it's like some songs come out instantly and they're exactly the way that you want them. Like, I was doing an interview with someone the other day and I was going through high voltage anxiety, and it turns out that the entirety of the instrumental idea happened in about an hour, and it never changed past that. It only had stuff added on top of it. So I was like, I opened this, like, the first print of the file was at like 11:30 in the morning, and I was like, that means I would have rocked up at like 10:30 and just sat down and did this. And then the next day at like 7:30 at night is a print. The very next print of the song is Heather's vocal going in with the first draft of the lyrics. So that means within 2 days it was done, and the core instrumental idea happened in about an hour. And I don't really remember that song happening at all, so I don't have any emotional like baggage with that. But then there's other ones where I'm like, oh yeah, that song that's on version 39, I feel a way about it. And if it's like positive, hell yeah. Or if it's negative, oh god damn it, but it's a good song.
It's
so
negative,
okay.
we release that one.
Yeah, right. And who knows which ones are good?
I know. Stress.
Because then even if we've been showing the songs to our friends, and there is like no consensus about what songs should be singles. No consensus at all.
Silly.
No,
Yeah.
it's crazy though as well. Like, because I'll sit down with your albums and I'll be like, honestly, any of these could have been a single and I would have been hooked. Like, so all of your songs have that single sort of like feeling where it's that tricky line. Oh, I could never get involved in it. I have too many favorites.
I try to stay agnostic on it. I'm like,
I want to release like the track list and be like, everyone vote.
you pick.
What sounds like a song you want to hear?
What title of song do you want to listen to?
I remember back when you released the track list for the first album, I was so cut up because you performed a song, I think it was like on Isolate or something, one of the like at-home Instagram live performances, and it was Don't Go, but in my head I'm like, oh, this one will be called like Ember or something, and I didn't see Ember written on the track list, and I was like having a mini tantrum like, why did they not include this song? I need this song. It was on there, it was fine, but it was such a moment where I was like,
What am I? Yeah.
yes.
That was the first
I was like, this
song
is
we
a
ever
personal
wrote.
attack.
We were like, we have to put that song on the record. It's the very first one we wrote together.
So cute.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things about your music and about Cry Club is how truly cathartic it is to, like, as a listener, just press play and everything you're feeling, just get it out through the music, because we're living in such a time. There's so much rage, anger, spite. Everything is just pulling at you. And your music is kind of like an escape and a way to channel all these feelings into it. Like from the listener perspective, how cathartic is it for you all to channel these emotions into your music, into your live performances, get it out into the world through such an art?
It's kind of like you go through life trying to find like how you can find catharsis. And everyone, like, I guess everyone has the way that works for them, like sport, or I know a lot of people who do like martial arts, or a lot of people who do who paint, or I'm an actor as well, and like there's been some really cathartic roles that I've gotten, but music is the best, I think for me, the best version of it, because not only do you get to experience it writing, but you do it over and over and over again when you play it live, because it's quite a lonely or like internal thing, I think, writing music. And yeah, you go through this whole journey of like we did with like Somehow or High Voltage Anxiety, where it's like, is this listenable? I think if everyone was just working on pure catharsis, like songs would sound insane. But being able to communicate it effectively so that people understand, and then seeing it mirrored back at you is like the best possible way to experience it, because you're like, am I the only one who feels like this? And everyone's like, yeah, no, we feel it too. And you're like, excellent, you know, it's excellent. I turn into rain.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, I know there are, I guess, artists who
Bagels fucking shit up.
There are artists, I think, who find it exhausting, rehashing the same thing over and over again. But for us, it's like, it kind of takes on a life of its own, I think. You know, whatever we initially wrote the song about isn't really what we're going to be performing it like forever, I think. I had a friend with Nine of Swords who was like, is that song about migraine? And I'm like, it is now. It makes a lot of sense, you know. And like, I think that's, I guess, the last step of the songwriting process is like people putting their own meaning into it and telling you, and then you like absorb that, and then you spit it back out at people, and then they absorb it and spit it back out at you. Like, yeah, it's extremely cathartic because it's always changing, and performing it live, it's never going to be the same way it was on the recording. So it's like, I think essential for health to be doing these.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it's such an interesting thing, because like, I'll listen to the song, like, For Your Health, it came out right at the time I was like piled on with all these uni assessments, and it was academic burnout for me. And I had it on repeat for like 2 hours at one point, and I just worked through a whole assignment with that song on repeat, and I was like, yeah, okay, I'm not alone here, because these people are burnt out too. Everyone else listening to the song is burnt out. And like, y'all didn't write this with academic burnout or like a uni assessment in mind, but that's what it took on for me. And that's probably why it's going to be the top song of my Spotify Wrapped this year, because I had it on repeat for that long.
Evergreen.
It's going to do that thing where it says, this day you listen to this one song a lot.
It's just like, what's going on?
Yeah. I always think about that, like, when in the, like, especially when figuring out like vocals and lyrics, there's this kind of like weird balance to strike where it's like, you want specific, but you want it to be open enough to be interpretable in, like, you never want to be didactic and be like, this song is about this.
Yeah, it's like, Angela,
how dare
on the 18th of September 2021, you slighted me. That would be funny though.
That would be funny. But like just this like weird one where it's like if you like I think there are artists who are able to use specifics to communicate something broadly. Like there are people who are able to like name check streets that they have to drive down, right? Eaglemont
Bridge, Surgeons.
And someone like that is that you're able to connect to the similar experiences that you've had with similar moments like that, right? Whereas I think we aren't necessarily in that world of writing. I think we're more in the like, here's our experience, we're going to present it in a way that allows for interpretation. And it was like a whole thing when, with the first record, it was always about being like the flawed protagonist. It's this idea of like, all these things suck. Well, some of it's my fault. It might be my fault a little bit. Like, you know. And then I think, like, especially kind of moving forward, like, having that relationship with writing evolve has been an interesting thing. Because it's that classic one, I think, where it's like, the more that we can be us, and the more that we can be more specific to what is us and what isn't, I think that allows for that connection to grow. Like, as a listener, you're going to hear something more specific. And I think specific allows for, like, a closer listen, you know? Like, in terms of, like, not necessarily, like, name, date, location, but more like, this is a more specific representation of the idea I'm trying to communicate.
Yeah, I think, like, us hearing, you know, you should be grateful to be given this chance. While it's, like, very specific to us with music, I think everyone's heard that a lot, you know? Especially, I think, like, non-binary people, women, trans people, queer people, where it's like, you should be grateful, like this horrible gay person is on TV at all. And it's like, maybe I don't want that to be where everyone else, you know, it happens, I think, a lot in media discussions, especially with like representation and with equity and like access to opportunity, I think is narrowing in on like, I think we know a lot who our audience is as well, and we all feel, I think, the same things in like going through our lives and trying to do things. And we can talk about our own experience of that slightly more specifically, but it's still, everyone's got those moments, and like we don't have to broaden it to aid people, I guess, in relating.
Totally.
Yeah. I need to hang on and get my coffee.
And it's something that's so interesting because I have had your music with me for so long, like through my entire teenage experience. Your first album came out when I was like, well, I started listening to you when I was like 14. The first album came out, I was like about to turn like 16 or something, like 15, 16, and that's what I was feeling. What you were writing about matched perfectly. Then your next album came out when I was like becoming an adult, and I had all that rage, that emotion of like realizing, hey, the world doesn't revolve around me anymore like it did when the first album came out. It has a much wider picture here, and like it paired up perfectly. And now this new era is coming out when I'm like, I'm now 20 and I'm burning out in university. Like everything, it feels so personal. The journey of your music has soundtracked my life in such a way that you don't know. I'm not sending you my diary and being like, hey, I'm feeling like this, write a song about this now. But in such a way, your experiences are mirroring so many other experiences without even trying. Which, I don't know if it's just because I've loved your music for so long, it's gotten so personal, but I can sit down and I'll hear a song like from your first album, and then I'll be like, wow, I remember that day in high school when this happened. That had nothing to do with the song. Like, it's such a magical thing.
Which I think so much about the experience that is like, the divide between being a music maker and a music consumer, like this experience where it's like the relationship I have to the bands that I really love, and
did you hear that?
the sound of bagel. God, she's probably just, what has she done?
No.
It's so confusing sometimes to be a girl. Oh.
See, and that's what Charlie XCX wrote that song about.
Yeah.
What happened?
Okay, come
There's
here.
nothing in there. I think she just jumped on her bowl.
Yeah, probably. Okay, can you chill for 1 second and you can be a part of this interview?
Yeah.
She had something to say, and we're hearing it.
The
We
thing that
appreciate
she had
that.
to say is purr.
Oh.
But yeah,
anyway.
like when you are a music, like an appreciator of music, and there's certain bands that you form a connection to, it's almost that like the songs play a role in it, but also like the lore of the band, like the music videos, the photos, that everything ties into the experience of enjoying a band. But then on the creation side, making any of those things is actually really difficult, especially if you're a DIY band like us, where it's like we're trying to like hold ourselves to a standard that like major label bands and people who have that level of support,
Infinite money
glitch their way into making. But for us, it's this experience of like going like, okay, you know, the classic example is like music videos, right? Especially in Australia, everyone tells artists, don't make music videos. It's not worth it. But like...
My favorite thing in the world, music videos.
Yeah.
But also like this experience where it's like the music industry is telling artists, don't make music videos because the return on expense is poor, especially in Australia. But then it's like, but as a fan of artists, you know there's that inherent disappointment that is when you go to play a song, like you're on YouTube or something, and you're like, I want to hear this song, and there's no music video, or
Yeah, it's just the little single art in like a blurry screen. Ugh.
or there's like a
Lyric video.
for like an otherwise big major label song. You're like, oh, couldn't we have done something?
Yeah.
You know? And like there are just going to be the circumstances where like that can't be achieved, and that's fair. But like, I think all of that context stuff rocks up, and by having that context, it gives people something to grab onto and to relate to in different ways. Where it's like, when I think about songs that I really like, I think about some kind of video content or anything that is my association to that.
Yeah, like American Idiot. I've been listening to a lot of Green Day at the moment, but like that like big green American flag with like the slime and the Black Parade is another one, the MCR one. Like it builds the world around it. It's so crucial. I also think like the the way you mentioned like the world getting a bit bigger, you know, with each album. It's kind of like what we have experienced writing it. A bit, ow! Girl!
She's about to go to cat jail.
Cat jail.
Cat jail.
Oh, she got the little bit between my fingers.
Ow! Oh, that part's feral.
She's 6 months old. She's just a baby. She doesn't know any better.
She's teething.
Oh, that hurt. Anyway. Sorry about that interlude. Yeah, I think we've kind of, or I've at least had the same experience writing them too, you know, like the first album is very much like interpersonal, you know, it is that like the world is revolving around like me and my problems kind of, not in a bad way, like
No, yeah.
because I like had never done this before, writing songs or being in a band, so it's like you're focusing on what you can immediately relate to. The second album is a little more like, a little broader. It's like, okay, I'm not talking to a person that's done something. I'm talking to like this idea of the type of person who does something. And it's like, yeah, happened, I think, again with this album where we're talking about like, I think, big sections of people and what they represent and like big, like, I guess, political factions and stuff like that. You know, it's gotten a lot broader. So it's like, even if we weren't writing with that specific goal in mind, it still mirrors, I think, that journey as well. Like, okay, there's only so many people that I can be like, you wronged me. But there's the evergreen kind of simmering disgust, I guess, with a lot of the world that is impossible to stop from like seeping through.
No, I feel that so much. And I was just thinking, like, with the actual albums, you went from, like, I'm such a mess, like, me, the person singing the songs, the person feeling these emotions, to then, like, spite will save me, like, a universal thing. Everyone kind of uses their anger, uses that emotion in that way to save them. Now, like, what's this next theme? What's this big overarching thing? Because with our two singles, we've gotten, like, anxiety and burnout, such like universal things that can be applied in so many different ways. Are we expanding? Is our like next few albums going to be addressing like the universe, the broader existence of human beings, and then are we going to like transcend completely?
You're gonna get
I'm gonna shoot the sun.
the end of an RPG where you kill God.
The fourth
And then
album
that's
will
like
be
the
Cry Club
final
Kills
album.
God.
Yeah.
I can see it. The Cry Club world,
Yeah,
there's a lot happening.
Yeah, that's it. I think for us, it's this thing of like, especially when it comes to like broadening of scope. It's never. I think a big thing for us is like it's never. We try not to force any of this sort of stuff. Like a lot of the process that is like curating concepts that make like a thematic whole is just about collecting the right batches of songs to communicate that. Because for us, it's like, especially going into getting a body of work together, it's about just writing as much as possible. So, you know, if I look at the hard drive, I know that the last song that was in this collection that we've been working on is like Pro Tools session number 201, you know. So that means that there were like XYZ ideas involved, and some of them go back like forever ago. They just got kind of brought into the current world that we're in, and that's what's got it approved, you know. Like, so it's this process of like making a statement through curation. Like, I think about, especially when it comes to creating a body of work, each song is created in their own vacuum, and I think, you know, I'm speaking for myself here, but I'm not trying to go like, when writing, I want to say the same thing 10 times, you know, like we're just going to say the thing we say in a song and cool. And then the process of making a body of work is like, if you're a curator in a museum and you're putting a collection of artworks together to make an overall statement, is you would be picking, okay, when you walk into the space, here's the first thing you see. Okay, and then when you take the corner, here's the next thing you see. And like trying to treat songs and things like that with just like this kind of like guide to go like, here's a collection of works we've created, and if we curate them into the right batch, we're able to make a specific statement.
Yeah.
And within that, you want enough diversity to make it feel like you're not hearing the same song 10 times, but you also want to be able to like
They need to sound like they belong together.
Feel cohesive in some capacity.
Yeah. But definitely like these first two singles are like a lot of the thematic direction of the album. Like I think they sum them up pretty well. It's very frustrated, I think, and a little bit when I guess it's that point where you're like so done with everything and like you're so over it that you're just like, all right, okay, wow, cool. Like almost like the point where you're like, I should stop caring, but I can't stop caring, and that's the difficult thing.
I always think about as well like the idea of like when it comes to like I had it and then I lost it.
I'm gonna find it. ADHD.
Yeah, it's. I think this kind of like.
Sorry.
No, I took one look at my box of Ritalin that I haven't taken, and my brain flew out the window. Sorry.
That sums it up, though. I get that.
Yeah.
But, okay, I'll switch gears to something that might be a little bit easier to talk about, because you'll have spent pretty much the past year, past 18 months, doing some epic shows. You've had some support slots that are insane. I sit here and I'm just like, oh my gosh, you guys are doing crazy things I wouldn't have even thought up. But now my favorite news of the year came out. Y'all are coming back with Cry Club headline shows, coming to several stops across the East Coast, even South Australia. How does it feel to be coming back and performing in a Cry Club headline show, like performing for yourself and your fans?
I think it's just been so long. Like, I think an interesting thing is, as the last couple of years have been a very turbulent time within the music industry, like there's been this kind of broad thing about like, you know, when's the right time to do something? Like, are you busy doing something else? And all of these things. And kind of having this moment where we're like, we just haven't actually played to a Cry Club specific audience for a really long time now. And not out of us not wanting to have done it, but just out of circumstance in a lot of ways, where it's like going to Europe and things like this, where it's like, that's a really great experience and super glad we did it, but
and
like
very expensive.
Very expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we'd love to go back and burn all that money again, but we've got to get that pile of money together.
Yeah.
But there's kind of like all these things that kind of come together, which make, like, I think it's always this like balancing of priorities. Like, if you got to control, like, if you got your hands on what people should be focusing on, should they be focusing on writing more songs, so the quality of their records increases, or should they be focusing on the production of their songs, so the songs themselves sound better, or should they be going on tour, should they be making music videos, all of these things, or making TikToks, you know, like there's like so many points of like the idea of like being a band in a traditional sense meant go play shows, write music, be cool.
Record music.
You know,
Trust
like
a hotel room.
Yeah, like there's like the traditional like rock path, right? And now it's a thing where it's like we're now in a position where we're like fully DIY. Like we've booked this tour ourselves. We've done all of this stuff. Like we direct and edit our music videos. We produce the songs ourselves now. Like we're doing everything as much ourselves because of like the reality is like financial limitations. Like we can't afford people to help us out with this stuff.
And also like the people that were working in like booking and management and that, like it's not even feasible for them to have a like profitable, you know, career in the arts. So like lots of these people are leaving too.
Totally.
And we're losing like a backbone of like really good support, in addition to artists having it really difficult as well. Like from what you see all the way back to the people who are working, like doing sound and lighting for the shows, like finding it impossible.
So I think now it's like, especially with getting like a tour together ourselves for this new stuff, it's this opportunity to kind of go like, almost like that reconnecting thing where it's like something I'm really excited for is the experience of like in doing support shows, you're having to spend so much time and attention essentially convincing people on you. That's what your role is as a support band, is to build things up for the headline act and convince people about you and jumping on board, right? So then being in now a headline position is a thing where it's like there's this wave of stuff that artists are dealing with, things that are pulling their attention, things that they could be focusing on, whatever. And then doing a headline run is the opportunity to go like, even regardless of the amount of people there, everyone is there because of like this shared experience, which is built off the music you've written. So then you're able to essentially kind of like, it's the moment where you just get to like part the sea on all of the nonsense going on and actually have this moment of connection with people who have that similar point of interest in things, and to be able to connect to people and go like, essentially like it's the moment where you just like get to cash in, not necessarily financially, but just like emotionally on all of the effort. So like all of this nonsense going on in the industry, all of this things like even like moving house. I keep mentioning moving house because we just did it, but like all of these things going on, and then emotionally you get to cash in on a bunch of people in a room who know all your songs and can have a fun time. And then you pull the lever, and then you go like, oh my god.
That's why we do it.
Yeah.
But there's also, I think, this idea for a lot of bands our size, where the perception of you is like a different thing than what you want to be doing and where you're actually at as well. I think there's like I don't know, there can be a tendency or an urge to play fewer shows, and then when you do play fewer shows, you play like bigger venues. So it looks like, you know, we're doing this and this and this. And it doesn't really end up, you know, like benefiting, I think, anyone. Like, okay, people who want to see us don't get to see us as often. We don't get to play shows as often. And the shows are less accessible, I think, to a lot of people, because they'd have to, like, you know, if we did a show in Sydney, people would be like, why are you playing Wollongong? Just like, are you... Did you bump your head? Of course we're playing Wollongong. You know, so it's nice to be like, okay, we're in charge of where we're going to play, and we're going to play everywhere.
Oh, everywhere that we can handle ourselves, I think is a big thing. It's like there are artists, especially, you know, much larger artists, are able to sustain these like regional runs, which would be amazing to kind of do and be a part of. To be able to hit those more regional areas would be awesome, but just to kind of like essentially kind of reestablish where ground level is for us on this run is something I'm particularly excited to do, I think.
Yeah, like it's such an interesting thing. I reshared like your tour announcement with all the dates, and someone texted me and said, wow, another band is skipping Perth, and I was like, have you heard of this band? I was like, maybe go listen to them, get around them, follow them. And then when you've supported them enough that they can afford to come to Perth, they will. And she was like, oh, I've actually never heard of them before. I was just upset Perth wasn't on the list. And I was just like...
That's the thing. A lot of people are like, please come to Perth. I'm like, have you, like... You could go to a venue and be like, please get this band, you know?
Yeah, or like bring people in, get more people listening enough to like sell out a venue. Like,
totally.
It's always that tricky thing, Like,
Which
I'll sit here...
No, go for it. Sorry.
I was just going to say, ever since you brought Eaglemont on tour, and, you know, I was kind of just like, okay, like, you know, I haven't bothered to listen to the support act. The music's pretty cool. Ever since that album came out, #1 album of last year, one of my favorite pieces of work. I am so thankful for you for introducing me to Eaglemont, because I love her stuff so much. But, like... And now, ever since, I'm like, come back, please. I need to listen to these songs. And it's like, actually, that's a lot to ask someone to, like, come to a show in a place where they might not be able to, like, you know, fill up a whole room. Or it might not be financially accessible to come do this. And it's so tricky as a fan to want that, but also want the artist to actually save their money, get to the point where they're ready to come do a show. And like I'm forever sitting here going, Cry Club, come to another show. And like it's happening. I'm excited.
It's happening.
And it is like you can go to, you know, like I would always recommend like emailing a venue that you really love, asking them like, I really love this band, I would love to see them on something, because it can be more viable. Like if like the Hamilton Station Hotel show that we're doing is like a big festival kind of style show. So there's like, it's so easy, I think, much easier. I'm not going to say it's so easy, but it's way easier for you to come across to a show like that where they're having multiple bands and it's a slightly bigger event, and it doesn't matter as much if you can't fill up that room by yourself, because people will get the opportunity to see you. And like advocating for your favorite smaller bands to bigger bands, be like, you should get this band on tour, please, like, or, you know, sometimes it's down to the booking agents and the promoters, but where possible, if you would like a band to play in your city and you're like, bands never play in my city, there's probably a reason. Like the flights are very expensive, you have to pay for accommodation, we pay our session musician, like You know, most people, even artists bigger than us, are like barely breaking even on tours. It's you just have to make noise. There's people who are like, when are you coming to America? And I'm like, in this
I saw that in your comments. Yeah.
In this particular moment in time, we will
not for the next 4 years.
Yeah, well, it's just like a classic one is, you know, even coming to playing shows in Australia have such a unique music environment because of our cities being so far apart. The idea that we have to fly everywhere to make shows happen in a sustainable way. Like, of course, you could get in a car and drive to Perth, right?
Oh, yeah.
And
if you'd like to play the worst show of your life.
Yeah, and you're going to play a horrible show because you don't want to be there because you just did this horrible thing and you know you have to drive back. Like, whereas in like Europe or the States, the idea of like getting in a van and driving to the next show is actually pretty reasonable. Like, that's not like, so especially when people if in the States, the idea of like, oh yeah, this person, like, they're doing this like 30-date tour and all of this sort of stuff, it's going to be awesome. It's like, well, we just don't have that many major cities here in Australia.
Yeah, like 30 dates is actually smaller than Australia. Like, the map they're covering is smaller than the size of Australia. So it's... Yeah.
So it's this thing where it's like I completely understand when, you know, you're a fan of a band and you might be from Adelaide or Perth and you go like, why do people not come here? And it's like, especially if they're a larger act, a lot of the times they're going to be losing money on going to those cities.
On going to Australia at all, I feel like if it's an international band, but
Yeah, because big international bands, they have like their big shows and all of the tech that run it, and they'll have like a Europe version of it and an American version of it.
Yeah.
And they're shipping it around to different places. So it's this thing where it's like they're going to have their... Okay, but then going to Australia, it's like, okay, you do your European run, and then you go do your American run, and then your Europe stuff is shipped to Australia while you're doing your American run, and then you're going to use the money you make in America and lose money in Australia.
So
like it's this constant balancing act.
It's a lot of losing money, right? Like just the flights alone are so expensive, but a lot of people, especially after COVID, are not buying tickets beforehand. They're going to wait until the day of and usually buy tickets on the door, which is fair, but also it makes it very, very hard. Like those kind of pre-sale, I know a lot of people have ADHD. Like, I know the feeling of being like, oh, I didn't buy a ticket, I'll buy one when I'm there. But it makes it really, really hard. Like, people are basically like shitting their pants until the day of the show to know if it's gonna make it like viable or if you're losing a lot of money. But then we're lucky, I think, because a lot of our fans in particular love to buy our merch. And we like, we will make, if we're doing a support slot, sometimes we will make our entire fee on merch again.
Yeah.
And that is like, okay, good, now we will break even. Like, we're really, really lucky. Not everyone's that lucky, but it's like a constant balancing act. We don't know how many people would come to the show.
Yeah.
So we don't know how much we're going to make. But honestly, it's all worth it for our headline shows.
Yeah, I think it's the interesting one where it's like, especially with all of the fuss that goes into everything, like that, essentially that feeling of like, okay, cool. For how well this goes or not, this is just going to be like this fun experience that we get to like connect with everyone about, and just have this like you know, universal experience. And it's like, it's, you know, on the pre-sale thing, it's like way better for artists when they know, like, going into something what it's going to look like, which has made the post-COVID version of this very challenging. But just to be able to go like, okay, cool, we're doing it. Like, I'm just very excited.
I want to hear everyone go, I'm about to excited.
Yeah.
We're like, it's fire. Help. I think we have a lot of like those kind of moments.
Yeah.
On the new album.
Things
like,
built for
this
live.
Is you.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm saving my voice because I remember halfway through your last show, I lost my voice. I was like front and center, lost my voice. Yeah. So we're saving it this time. I'll be
Brilliant.
there. I'll be loud the whole time.
Thank you.
Perfect.
So yeah, as I mentioned before, you all introduced me to Eaglemont, who is now one of my favorite artists. You always bring really cool opening acts on your tour, or like the date you have in Newcastle, you've got such a big lineup. I would love to pick your brains and hear who you're listening to, who you're loving, and who you think we're also going to love.
Ooh, tricky. I think especially in Australia, it's often there's like these little pockets of things going on where it's like, but even like what your personal connections to things are. So I often think about, oh, my friends play in bands, and here's the ones doing particular things. So like, my friend Izzy plays a band called Wayside, who are amazing, who are about to just go over to Europe. Very big fan of what they're doing.
I love Mudrat at the moment. Super lovely, and then like hard as hell. I like every song. I've seen Mudrat a couple times, and I'm like, it's like getting punched in the face in the best way. Like I think there's a very similar frustration to a lot of our new songs as well, which I like. Who else?
I always have to shout out Shady Nasty. Every
yeah.
time I see that band, I'm like a kid in a candy store. That's like a band built for me to enjoy.
Yeah, and Speed I love as well. We've been listening to a lot of really heavy stuff. Who else? Amends as well, who are playing in Newcastle. Very good.
Very good band.
Very, very good.
We're like, one of the things we have to do once we finish this question is sort out the rest of the support slots for that tour. So it's part of the reason we've got to go.
Yeah.
That's exciting. Okay, I'm so excited for that. Can you let us know? Is it going to be one support act, or are you looking for multiple for each day? Because last time you had 2, which was really cool.
Yeah, we'll have. Last time we brought Eaglemont around with us. This time it's going to be, because that was like an album tour. So the idea with this being a single tour, it'll be 2 local supports in each one. We won't be able to bring someone around with us this time. So it's just going to be an opener and a main support in each city. So
I'm so excited for that, because it's such a great way to get to know the local scene. Totally. And like, especially, as I said, you don't know the openers half the time you go to a show. So I'm so excited for this. I seen one of your openers for the Brisbane show because that was posted somewhere, and I'm so excited because I'm such a big fan of them. So oh my god, I'm just so excited for this show. I will be there front and center at the Bearded Lady in West End. And everyone who's watching this, if people have stuck it out this far, thank you. And also, I will see you there because it's going to be an amazing show. We're going to get cut off in about 20 seconds. So I just want to say thank you so much for making the time to chat today. I'm so excited about everything happening in the world of Cry Club. And I'm so keen to hear more tracks and this new album.
Yeah, there we
Thank you. Can't wait to release them.
Yes. Oh, it's going to be so good. I can feel it already. So
perfect.
Thank you.
All right, see ya.